All right, all right, all right. I got my guy. You know what today is. Today is Thursday. It's Burgers and Blitzes Day, man. So you know what? Y'all gonna jump on here. I know everybody's gonna come in. I remember I told y'all, turn them notifications on, turn them off, because sometimes they be acting weird as hell, and I can't control it. So YouTube does that. So turn them off, turn them on, so you can make sure you get your notifications. And you know how we do. We about to just talk this Cowboys football. See people coming in already. My dog, Kid Roscoe, he always one of the first in. Aaron Lewis, my members, what's good with y'all? Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody who comes in on my Facebook group. We already know how we do here on the tube. And what's up, my guy? How you doing?
I am fantastic, my friend. How are you doing, Bubba?
Man, just living the life. I will say I got a little bit of somberness, but I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. But I had something early today, and I don't want to just keep talking about it, but it does help me. I had one of my basketball kids. I coached him actually just 1 year. He played with my son probably about 4 years ago. And he was in sixth grade at the time. My son was in eighth grade. We played on a traveling AAU team, but we moved him up because he was so good. And he was like one of the next up and comers. Well, unfortunately, last night he was killed last night in a shooting. Him and his friend of his friend actually survived. He did not make it. My son actually told me today. He sent me his picture, and I was like in shock. I really didn't believe it. He was like, "Yeah, Dad, it's real." And then he should. And what's so crazy about it, Mike, is I was on my way home after getting my haircut. Right, I never listened to the radio really ever at all, but I just happened to turn it on, and then how it goes to like a commercial right quick, and then it talked about the news, and it talked about that particular incident on the radio. And my first thought was, "Dang, that's messed up." You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
awful, Bubba.
then to come to find out, only like an hour later, my son texted me with the person that I just heard about. So, um, it's been a tough year. Like I said, I've lost about three or four kids within the last few years, football, basketball, due to gun violence, things of that nature. And I just hope that we can continue to do better out here, man, and figure this thing out because, that's another child out there, just a life in general. But, he could have really been something out there, productive. And just to see that happen, man, it's just really disheartening to me how it just continues to happen. We just got to do better as a society for real.
Yeah, that's that's awful. I'm sorry, Bubba. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but don't worry. Nah, it is good bad, but there is good in everything. So let's not be we ain't gonna be a Debbie Downer in here. But I just had to kind of get that off my chest.
No,
You feel me? It helps me get through. So shout
I
out to
wouldn't ask if I didn't want to care. You know,
yeah, yeah. I feel
no,
you. I feel you.
I don't ask empty questions.
Yes, sir. James Nook, shout out to you. James Tyson, David Nixon, Tim Warner. How y'all doing today? Appreciate everybody for the condolences. Let's just keep their family in prayers and uplift them as they're going to go through this tough time. Because I could never imagine me losing my child. I'd be, wow, that'd be crazy. But let's talk about these Cowboys, big dog. I mentioned something on Twitter. I think you jumped. I think you said something about it. Maybe you didn't. When I said something about the mic, did I say something about the mic? No. Well, no. We talked about Alden Smith, but Mike Nolan's been the hot topic. We already
Hmm.
know he's been the hot topic forever. But I made it said on Twitter. I said, man, they ought to just fire him now. Just go ahead and put in George Edwards. Let him just do these last 3 weeks. Just see how the team plays. I'm not saying the team he's gonna have a full deck or anything, but just see how the team plays under him, and then from there go with your search because my guy BJ Nix he brought to my attention. We kind of talked about how it could be in house. Now I heard Brian Broaddus say that could be the guy. My guy Patrick Walker retweeted said he had been the guy that he wanted. What's your kind of thoughts about that? The whole situation. You know, George Edwards in house because he's 4'3". We heard Jerry how he said, I don't want to be, I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have changed this. And that's where it led me lean towards hearing Edwards now when he said, I didn't want to change.
Yeah, it's Jerry loves the hindsight stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely loves the hindsight stuff. All last year it was, hey, hey, I see the way how old Baltimore is doing that. Lamar Jackson, I like, Dak, Dak when he gets that ball, he's daddy. He can do that. And then Dak gets hurt, and then now it's we don't, we got to be thinking about this in the future, and we got to, we can't be getting Dak hurt. We got to, we can't be risking him like that. He loves
Right.
the hindsight stuff. That dude loves the hindsight
That's
stuff.
so funny how
Like
he said
that
that. We
gets
like,
hurt
hold up.
his first injury in 5
Right.
damn years, and this,
Right.
it's so that's one thing. The other thing is, they said they were going to fit talent, scheme or talent over scheme. They're not going to draft guys because they can't do this, they can't do that. The fact of the matter is, we watched it happen, and John Owning, shout out to him. He called this, and shit, it might have been week 1. I know it was week 2. He called out the false step and DeMarcus Lawrence stand in that 2-point stance.
Mm-hmm.
And when your highest paid defensive player, edge rusher, cannot work in a 3-4, that's when you have to adapt scheme to talent. And they had, you have Alden Smith and Randy Gregory who can be one of those stand-up DENs, but both of those guys are rotational players at this point, to be honest. Randy Gregory's still getting his lungs back into him. I'd love to see him play more,
Right.
but you at this point you have a 4-3 team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Let me give a shout out to my dog, the Ninja, for the $5 holler. He know how we do, Goon Squad. He's always taking care of me. Appreciate you. Going to be a good show on my way home. Can't text much, but salute Dallas Cowboy for life. You know how we do it. Definitely appreciate the donations. Keep them popping if you like. Big Game James, it's here. You can either super chat or you can cash app. That's quicker because YouTube hits you with the 33%. I'm just saying, feel me? For real. But just kind of bouncing off you, Mike, when you just said that we have like the 4-3 principle, and just like you said, when you have your top edge rusher that really can't do that 3-4, because you need that guy right there, D-Law, to
You're
be
supposed to maximize his talent. Period. You have to.
He's got to be that guy as a 3-4 guy on the edge. He has to be able to do that, be able to stand up, transition. They have to.
It's part of what got him hurt doing that 3-4 shit. It's part of what got him hurt. It got his knee tweaked in Atlanta.
Right, backing up and backpedaling and dropping in coverage, which he shouldn't have been doing, because especially when we had Mike Fisher on, he was just talking about how they didn't get to really talk to none of these guys face to face. You didn't get practice. You didn't know you got no work. You got no OTAs, and everything was done through Zoom. And you can't transition a defense of 4-3 to a 3-4 through Zoom meetings. You have to put it on the field, especially if you even had a preseason. You're just going straight to regular season games. Like you're just really going into the season 30 days in. That's just not going to happen. So you'd had to dumb it down for real, because guys are going to struggle anyway, because like I know, Mike, when Bill Parcells came over here, he has said, okay, we're going 3-4. I'm bringing my 3-4 guys over here. I'm drafting these type of people.
And it still took him a year. It still took a whole year before he even thought about switching. He ran that 4-3 his first year here.
Right. But but you see the slow transition. If they were to go to the 3-4, it'd have to be all out this year. You'd have to draft it heavy. You'd have to get the personnel heavy in your free agency. Everything would have to be all 3-4 dominated. And I don't hear that feeling, and I don't get that feeling from Jerry at all, that he wants to take all that time to do that, because I feel like he's like, I'm getting older. We need to do this now. I don't want to just come out here and say I made a mistake. So let's just change it and let's just go with remember how you said we ain't gonna be mean to Nola, move him up in a different format and then slide the next guy in.
No, dude, you gotta go on and get my problem is with the George Edwards hire. That's that my guy shit is why we're here in the first place. Mike McCarthy brought in Mike Nolan. That's his friend that hired him, some odd years back in San Francisco, and gave him the chance. And I'm sure that anybody watching this stream right now, I'm sure that you've experienced it. I know damn well I have. You've been in the position, you've been in the job where you've seen somebody get hired in because who they know, not what they know, and they're terrible at it. And everybody else has to cover up for their failure. And that's what happened. Mike Nolan's been terrible everywhere he's been. Besides that year, he had all pros. Literally his defense was full of Hall of Fame players. Hell, Scott Lanahan's a good offensive coordinator when he's got Megatron and Randy Moss. That's what happened there. And George Edwards is, he's right across the hall. And, like you said, you mentioned Brian Broaddus because Broaddus is going to call Zimmer, and Zimmer's a dusty fart, just like Jerry is. He's all, you should hire George Edwards. He knows defense. And, why? Just because he's old? Just because he's done it a long time? There's a lot of people that are old, have done stuff a long time. They're terrible at doing the shit they've been doing. Hire Sean Lee. Quit messing around. The dude knows his talent.
But isn't that kind of, I feel you, but isn't that kind of the same thing though? Because you're familiar with Sean Lee, you're familiar.
Yes, but he hasn't been fired 19 times. He doesn't have an idea of, this is how this defense has to run. This is what we do. That Paul Alexander stuff where you bring a guy in and change up a bunch of talent and all of a sudden the offensive line's terrible just because this is what we do. He doesn't have an idea of what he does. He knows what this team does best. Right. And I know there's going to be a lot of turnover on this defense. Now, probably out of your 11 quote unquote starters, 4,
right,
5, 4, maybe 3 are back next year. So, the guy's adapted. He's seen everything you need to see. Every defense has came through here. He's been here for a decade. He's seen it all.
So let's say they do this. Let's say, because I'm not disagreeing with you. My feelings about with the Sean Lee thing. I feel like what they really need to do, in my opinion, Mike. I think if they can't do it like they did Mike McCarthy and just say, okay, we like this guy and that's it. They got to do a search. They got to go through a lot of people and figure it out. Just don't say this one guy is it. And because I feel like that flaws.
It's so disappointing. Like you just Mike McCarthy may be a great coach, but that's so disappointing when you go through a decade of Jason Garrett and you do one interview to satisfy the Rooney Rule, yep. and then you bring in Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy may have been the dude that invented oxygen, but the fact of the matter is, it's been a decade, and you do essentially what is one interview. That's disappointing.
That is. I gotta agree. I wanted Mike McCarthy, Big Mike. I wanted him. What I'm saying?
He may be great.
And you're right. You're right. It shouldn't have been that process. As much as I may have wanted him, and maybe as much as we all may have said, "Hey, this is a guy who's been out. He's been with Green Bay. He's beat this one." So it's still, they should have still did due process and went through the whole thing. Because as you said before, that's where it becomes the flawed system. Because now, if you get rid of a Mike Nolan, you're automatically saying, well, George Edwards is here, so let's just go ahead and slide him in without going through the whole process of seeing everybody who's out there, and then come back and say, let's do it like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Honestly, what's funny is the one coach that people are really mad at, and for some god-awful reason, is the one coach that's actually been good at his job. Kellen Moore is the best decision they made this entire offseason. And he was just a recommendation, McCarthy, and they kept him on. Everybody else has been terrible. They let the RB coach go. They let the LB coach go, even though he was awful. They let the DB coach, they let all those guys go. And they brought in guys who are, apparently, if you listen to the whispers and the rumors around the campfire, they're just as bad.
And see, here's the thing, Mike. I was reading an article, and it was talking about Mike McCarthy, and a lot of people over here in Green Bay just really did not like him, and they did not like his style, and they really wanted him out. A lot of people wanted him out early, and even when he was winning, they were still questioning him. I just read a lot of Green Bay type things, and the things that they were saying what he was doing at Green Bay or what was happening under his tutelage or his regime is happening here under the first year.
That
issues, lack of fire, lack of discipline. This was the things that they were saying under Green Bay. And
for sure.
Here it is, here the first year, and what are we talking about? You get what I'm saying? Like it. So
is that on the those issues though? Are they on the defense or the offense?
They're mainly on the defense. I can't.
And what unit had those issues the last you could say better part of a decade?
That's true.
That's my issue there. Like
we complain about the offense, but it's been more red zone, things of that nature. But it's not like
in the red zone offense, man. Red zone offense is not indicative of good offense. Like even positive or negative red zone offense is not indicative of good offense whatsoever. I mean, in 2015, the Cowboys had the number 7 ranked red zone offense. Does anybody think that offense was good by any stretch of the imagination? No, we ended up with a 4th overall draft pick. You know, there's stuff that people.
What do you think about that, Mike? My guy Steve Lumpton, because he always getting on me for loving some Kellen Moore. I mean, I like
Kellen Moore's a beast.
He says
if Kellen Moore had a healthy Dak Prescott, he'd be a head coach. He'd be a head coach nominee this offseason because that's how important offensive football is.
He says the Cowboys' offense is damn near last enough offensive efficiency under Moore. We need to stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm sorry, sir. Do you have Game Pass? Go watch all the plays that Andy Dalton and these other quarterbacks have been leaving on the field. You watched it last week. The only reason they won that game is a defensive touchdown. Andy Dalton missed wide open. Michael Gallup was wide open. He could have pulled out a grand piano and sang a ballad. He was so open in the end zone. Missed him by 15 yards. Been leaving so many plays on the field. They're set. What are they like? And you know what? I think they're still scoring more points per game than Jason Garrett is up in New York.
Mm-hmm.
That Jason Garrett fan club don't want to hear that though.
I mean, I don't know why people be hating. I don't know what he does so bad. Like you had a number 1 as your first year. You had the number 1 overall offense the whole year, pretty much. This year, you're still in the top 10.
Even with less than half of his playbook, and then you miss your quarterback. The dude's been juggling chainsaws all year. You ain't had an offensive line worth a damn since week 1 was the only relatively healthy offensive line you had. Then you've been through
play been spotty at best.
What do you want the dude to do? You know, and the fact of the matter is the plays are working. Just because the points aren't showing up doesn't mean the plays aren't working. If anybody has Game Pass, you can go turn. You don't even need Game Pass. You can hit the rewind and just watch it removed from the emotion of the game. Watch it removed from that element because I do it. I'm sure James does it. Everybody does it. When you watch a play live, happening live, you get caught up in the moment and you see things that are not reality.
You got to go to that all 22,
baby. Go watch it again and be like, oh, damn, I should not have tweeted that. I was on some dumb shit. I got to go find a tweet.
Boy, I'll be jumping on Twitter like delete tweet. Delete that tweet.
Don't delete tweets. Deleting tweets is for cowards. I got to go find the tweet.
I've deleted the tweet.
What happened was I was on that tequila and I was angry.
I had to delete a tweet like, whoa, I was so wrong on this. Delete. I had to delete. That was way off on that one. Until I see the tape, you was way off, bruh. Way off.
That's you know. It will the Game Pass will wreck your priors. You know, you'll go to bed thinking something is, you know, just clear as Sunday morning. Then you wake up, that Game Pass comes out, and you say, "Oh damn,
that's a damn Bible. That's straight church right there." You're like, "Whoa, man, I totally did not any of that."
I'd like to take this moment to apologize to absolutely fucking nobody.
You feel me? Like for real, like yeah. Yeah, that's for real. So let's talk about this Dak. Okay, I'm gonna give one last thing to Steve, and then we're gonna jump to another. I'm gonna give him one last thing because you know we go back and forth on this, but I'm gonna get his question up here. He goes, where you at? He goes, Mike, you and BGJ are my guys, but y'all are off on this one. What has Zeke done in Kellen's system? Why do we continue to struggle on 3rd and 1s? Come on, fellas.
Your short yardage back can't short yardage anymore, especially behind this hodgepodge offensive line. Connor Williams has been so bad in the run game. That's why he got benched for Joe Looney today. Joe Looney took reps at OG1. Yeah, that happened today. That's
So what was the line?
Your running back is a product of your offensive line and your quarterback play. Period. And then when you go like the Red Zone series last week where they lined up 3rd and 1 and they got first on the 1 yard line, it was 1st and goal, then it was 2nd and goal, then it was 3rd and goal. And they got stuffed on all 3 of them. That's how bad your offensive line is right now. I didn't even necessarily disagree with the calls because that's the moment where you actually should run the football. And it didn't work. That's how bad your offensive line, your quarterback play is right now. They know what's coming. And when your offensive line can't get pushed because you're running full of backups and a rookie, that's what you get. Connor Williams doesn't have the strength. If you go back and watch on that third down stop where they got closed out, Connor Williams absolutely completely whiffs. He hits his guy and slides off like he was a greased out, and falls down. And here he comes crashing through, hits Zeke right in the mouth. Game over. Not game over, but possession over. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's Zeke has lost a step, but we're not going there. That horse has been kicked.
Right. I mean, we saw he had the nice long run, the 24-yard game, but if you took that run away, he averaged like 2 yards a carry on that.
Yeah.
And please continue to play Tony Pollard. Shout out to my dog, Steve Lupton, for the $5.
Tony Pollard's about to get a lot of boner this week because Zeke's still limping around the start.
See, I that's why I appreciate people like Steve Lumpton. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate people like Steve Lumpton because, number one, he donates a $5 holler to the Cash App. You feel me? And we always got good back and forth with Kellen Moore. We don't see a eye to eye on it, but we don't get all mad and go all crazy nutcase about it. That's why I'm saying you can have a healthy, respectful back and forth and not agree at all on it. And you will not change my mind. I will not change yours. But we always had good convo. I might think about what you say sometimes, though. You feel me? So I appreciate people like that. And shout out to you, Steve Lumpton, for the $5 holler on that. You know what I mean? So let's talk about. I was just talking about Tony Pollard, man. He continues had the great run back on the kickoff. Continue to sprinkle. Dog, y'all got to do this two-back system. Forget who cares how much Ezekiel Elliott. He got his money, okay? No one cares any longer. Make these two guys split them damn carries and make this team better. Stop forcing it to Zeke because he's Ezekiel Elliott. That we got to get past that now and just play football, right, Mike?
I have been checking the snap counts. I honestly haven't. I should have before we logged on today because now that you bring that up, I believe that Tony Pollard, it seemed like, I could be 100% wrong here. It seemed like in the last 2 weeks, Tony Pollard's got more burn than he has in prior weeks. So could be off there, but it felt like it. And that 20 personnel was nice. And, I was one of the people bad as hell at Tony Pollard because trying to cut him at the first of the year because how bad he was on special teams.
Yeah, you was trying to cut him.
He's still bad on special teams. He still makes bad decisions.
But I told you why, because he trying to get loose so bad, big dog. I don't make no excuses for it, but he ain't getting them reps, and he trying to get loose.
At that moment, I have no time. I have no time for a backup running back that's hurting the team, and that's what that was born out of, And I have no time for any running back that's hurting the team, but that's neither here nor there. They've already paid him.
But you're gonna I said, he's getting better.
You're gonna get a lot of Pollard this weekend because Zeke's still limping.
Well, look, here's the thing. Zeke had just pulled it up. Zeke had 12 carries. Tony Pollard had 11. Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 39 yards. Wasn't a great average. Zeke had 12 carries for 48 yards with the long of 26. Pollard had a long of 17 in that game. So the running game wasn't still great. But you see the balance that they started to do, and they need to really do that the rest of the year, especially if Zeke is hurting. Man, feed Tony Pollard and let him run the ball. Give him a 20 carry.
The running game is not going to be great until they get the quarterback back. Period. No two ways about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can go look at the totals. Go look after what happened after October 11th on that game versus the Giants. Go look at the run game since then. Period. That's no. It's not the offensive line. It's not this. It's not that. It's the quarterback. The quarterback is where your running game comes from. The quarterback is why Derrick Henry is going on his second 1,500-yard year. That's it. And Zeke has been beaten up. I mean, he's had, if you go back, I think it's from like his junior year of college, he's had like 2,000 touches.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You got to understand those guys had heavy carries, and that's what they were kind of concerned about Derrick Henry when he came out of Alabama.
He's been a freak. He had a lot of mileage coming out on him. You were right.
But I think here's the thing that saved him was when they had DeMarco Murray, because remember, DeMarco Murray those first few years was trucking it, and Derrick Henry was barely.
I forgot about that. I forgot about them having Murray. I forgot he went there. Yeah. Absolutely forgot that.
and he had those two pretty solid years there, and that was Henry wasn't touching the rock at all. And I think that's why he's still kind of explosive, in my opinion, because he had those 2 years of sitting behind Murray and not really getting that NFL mileage. Now he's starting to really hit his prime, where I don't think he's going to carry that till he's 30. I think you'll have maybe 2 more years of that, maybe, and then it down to trends, because that's just what happened with NFL backs when you get them carries, dog. You get
Yeah.
hit that many times. I don't care how good you are, your body is going to
It's
break
a
down.
human body. There's only so much you can do against the biology. That's
It's just what it is. But so let me talk about some the receivers here.
mhm.
Um, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and even Dalton Schultz. How you feel about our receiving core this year?
I've eaten a little bit of crow and Dalton Schultz. I've never thought I questioned why he was
I
still
think
on
we
the
all
team.
have. I think we all did.
I questioned why he was still on the team. He's been the Sami. He's no Jarwin. Make no mistake about it. He is absolutely no. He's not the vertical threat that Jarwin is. But he's made some since that sketchy first couple of weeks. He's made some absolutely crucial catches. He's gotten better down the field. My issue with him was he was sloppy down the field when the ball wasn't going to him, and it crowded routes for the receivers. He's gotten so much better about that. That's what another thing about the Game Pass. It's helpful to watch when the ball's not going to you. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And to make a reference, Dez was really bad about that. When the ball wasn't going to him, it wasn't such a good rep. And
Right.
Dalton Schultz has had really good reps with the ball not going to him. CeeDee Lamb's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'll fight anybody that says otherwise. It's just, and Amari Cooper, I've eaten crow and Amari. Not eaten crow. I questioned Amari Cooper because the same things that followed him from Alabama and to Oakland followed him from Oakland to Dallas, and with the fading against tougher talent, fading at the late of the season, fading on the road. None of that has happened this year. He's had it. In my opinion, in my opinion, this is arguably Amari Cooper's best year as a professional football player. With the sketchy quarterback play, no lines. This had a damn tough schedule. I mean, we haven't played bad. We haven't played a lot of bad teams this year. Really haven't, as far as defensive go. And he's absolutely put it together. Which sucks because he doesn't have his quarterback, because that's as a Cowboys fan, we're not allowed to have nice things.
Right,
I would love for let's see him do it next year. That would be absolutely lovely. And then Michael,
So you're okay. So this is where I'm about to go. Before you say Gallup, so you're on board with Coop. We wouldn't want to touch Coop now. We've seen him again. He really just. I think he silenced critics. I still call him a pretty boy, but that don't mean you can't ball. You can be a pretty boy and still ball. You feel me? I ain't hating on him because I call that, but he is a pretty boy. But he has, just like you said, Mike. He has done it on the road. He's done it at home. He's done it with quarterbacks without Dak Prescott. He's quietly having his best season. And
and I would like to note, I put that GIF out last week. His CeeDee Lamb's route running after hanging out with Amari Cooper all summer.
You can see it. You can see
that jab step coming off the line is gas.
Man,
ass is absolutely
did you see
gas.
when he put that foot in that ground, man?
Dude, that GIF I put it when they
God,
Cooper jabbed out right, fucking Lamb jabbed out inside. That was absolutely greasy, and that's what he brings. He's not your typical wide receiver, for better and for worse, as far as the mentality and the brazenness and attitude and stuff like that goes. And I've been absolutely impressed with him this year. And
really, if you really look at all our receivers, they don't have that prima donna type attitude. Even Gallup, he doesn't have that attitude. He's a guy that works hard. He goes hard. He doesn't say too much. He just does his job. That's the way Amari Cooper is, and even CeeDee Lamb. Those guys work hard. They don't say too much, but they let their play really do the talking, and I really respect that about them. I don't mind a little trash talk, but I definitely respect how they are. So I'm going to bring up this. We feeling like we like how Amari played. Let's say we don't touch Amari Cooper. Now Gallup, CeeDee Lamb has risen. Gallup has not been that guy as much because he's not going to see that ball like that anymore with the CD Lamb now. If you, because we talked about this with Cooper because he has the friendly contract, would you look in draft for Michael Gallup with his contract coming up? He's got the 1 year left.
Oh
He's
yeah,
going to get
I'm a
paid.
draft and I'm a draft and not pay him guy. I wouldn't. For the record, I wouldn't have paid Amari Cooper.
Mhm,
I would have franchised him. But
mhm,
that's not a knock on him. I just wide receivers, unless you're that dude, that absolute dude, which Amari Cooper is arguably proven to be this year. You're so easily replaceable. You're gonna get it's almost more so than running backs with the way that the talent that comes out. Just like look at the draft this year. You got Jamar Chase, you got the kids from Bama, you got Tylan Wallace, you got all these wide receivers coming out this year, and you're gonna pay your arguably what was soon to be third wide receiver 14 $13-14 billion a year. I I can't get down with that. I love Gallup. I'm COO of the Gallup Hive, but that's you got him in the third round. If you can turn that before the draft into, or even after the draft, into a defensive tackle or a safety, maybe even a cornerback, what's out there. The type of guy, hey, we're not going to pay our guy because the Cowboys, make no mistake about it, the Cowboys are losing Michael Gallup next summer. Period. No two ways about it. His contract's over. They're going to lose him in free agency. He's gone. Why not, if you can, get something for him before that happens?
Mm-hmm.
And you can have a guy who plays this entire season and then fills that role next season.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Steelers do. You churn and burn. And, the wide receivers are there. Don't pay them. It's just not unless they are absolutely, Hopkins, Julio when he was healthy. Hell, one could even question the Michael Thomas thing. What's going on right there?
Mm-hmm.
I that dude was widely regarded as the best wide receiver in the league, if you would listen to some people last year.
I personally never thought he
slants and drags, dude.
he was regular when he was at Ohio State. He was good, but
He's a possession receiver. I loved him coming out. I wanted him with the Jalen Smith pick. I would have taken him.
Not extraordinary. You feel me? Like he ain't going to other teams, and he is not extraordinary. Where Michael Thomas will go to teams and just dominate.
He's a fake number one, just like Thielen.
I'm sorry, he's just not, and it's no shade on him, but I never thought that. I was surprised when he came out of Ohio State because what I'm saying, I live out here, Big Mike, so I get to see these guys intently, and I was just like, damn, they on Michael Thomas like that, okay. And then even when I watched him at New Orleans, I was like, damn, he could be getting all them balls, but he all right, but
doing nothing with it. If he wouldn't have went to a team where the quarterback's arm died, it would have been a whole different story.
I mean, yeah, I don't think we're talking about him like that if he doesn't have a Drew Brees. I just feel that way.
It's kind of ironic. He could have went to one of the better offenses and not had such a prolific career. Like if he went to Kansas City, what would they do with him? Run him on slants and drags all damn day when Mahomes wants to throw it 30 yards downfield?
Exactly. Like Hopkins, like different receivers. Like a Hopkins can go to any squad and he will make your whole team good.
Alien, absolute alien. He is one of those dudes you pay. He's one of those dudes. And I honestly, in my opinion, I think young Lamb's that dude.
Lamb is nasty. And that's what I'm saying. Him and Cooper together are nasty because both of those guys, you can't sit there and that's why it's killing people in the slot. You feel me? You can't guard that. You know what I'm saying? You can't. Now, I know he had his little bit of drops. He dropped a TD, had some drops. We understand that. But let's not get
I'd say two bad ones.
Yeah, let's not get it twisted like he's going to be that guy that's going to be dropping the ball everywhere. That's not going to be happening. But I mean, like I said, I love Michael Gallup. I've always loved Michael Gallup. But the more I started watching this season, I seen CD Lamb emerging like he is. And as you said, there are tons of receivers. I'm not saying Cedric Wilson or Noah Brown or those guys, but they're very capable players. And you could just draft one more guy who's explosive. And then, like you said, you hate to do it, but you can't marry it. And if Michael Gallup absolutely is going to want to get paid, and there's nothing wrong with absolutely wanting him to get paid.
No, by all means, get your money, sir.
Get money by all means. But with Dallas, it ain't going to happen because you got to see.
They're not going to win the money whip. The only money whip they've won in my adult lifetime was when Amari Cooper got offered $2 million more a year to go run with the Washington football team, and ain't nobody want to run with the Washington football team.
Mm-hmm.
They, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is left. Beasley left. Dude that went to New York Giants left when our special teams died. Dwayne Harris. All these money. Hitchens left. All DeMarco Murray left when they decided they didn't want to pay running backs, and then drafted one, and that's another conversation.
Right.
But
exactly. Well, I got my guy here, KHY001, $3 holla. Appreciate you. Hey ho, $3 holla. He says Zeke and Gallup pack-up trade. That ain't happening. They are not trading no damn Ezekiel Elliott right now.
Ain't nobody traded for Zeke.
Nobody's going to want him, and they're going to just let that
trade for Zeke's like trade for Wentz.
You feel me? Like 2 year, or don't he have like an out in 2 years? That's when it's going to be over with Ezekiel Elliott. I feel, in my opinion, that's when it's going to be done. Don't you think that, Mike?
Yeah, I would
not hating on him. It's just he's going to be what, 26? They didn't do.
I bet if you had a beer with McClay and you got him, sitting on the tailgate with some barbecue, he would tell you if they already regret that contract.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he would tell you that he never wanted to sign that contract.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he would tell you that contract was out of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
I bet or may not have had this conversation.
For sure. And like I said, that's why they have that out is when he hits about 26. And I feel like that's when it's going to be the time. Because you already got your big contract. You're not going to get another big one. You're not going to top what you have already right now. Your numbers aren't going to increasingly get higher now. They're not going to go back to the 1400s to 1500s. They're not going back to those anymore. That's not happening.
No, so you don't get running backs don't get better.
Yeah. And
they don't. Derrick Henry had a late, quote unquote, late career resurgence because he finally got above replacement level quarterback play. He was on his way out of the league at under 4 yards per carry for 900 yards on that season until they replaced Mariota with Tannehill, and then he picked it up to 5.8 to finish the year with 1,500 yards. That's an outlier. That's an outlier.
He's nasty, but I just feel like it's too scary to pay somebody that money because
for sure you don't
where he can downtrend in 1 year.
You don't even draft him early because the things it's no like I'm not even like Joe.
We got him in the fourth.
Joe Mixon was a later draft pick that I was actually really high on, and look what's happened there. He can't stay healthy. He's hurt guy. You look at Chris McCaffrey. That contract's already paying off, ain't it? They might as well IR that dude week 2.
Right.
It's just all these. The running back is just who's that kid out in Jacksonville right now, absolutely killing it. Robinson. I don't even know his first name. I think he got drafted on day 7.
Exactly. I'm like, for real. That's kind of wild. It is what it is. Let's talk about this secondary right quick. Trevin Diggs maybe coming back. He's been practicing. Cheeto's coming back off the COVID reserve list. Also, Donovan Wilson got a little practice work as well. Looks like a lot of the corners are coming back, maybe possibly for this last 3 weeks. What's your kind of thoughts on that cornerback situation, and particularly Diggs? Do you want to see him out there these last 3 weeks? What do you just think about just secondary play in general?
I want to see Diggs out there. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with Cheeto being back out there, but I guess if they're going to put him back out
there unless he's 100%, dog. That's a foot, and he already hurt his foot in college.
It's the other foot though.
It don't matter. It may be foot, but
I get you.
Injuries are delicate, and you cannot mess that Diggs thing up, dog.
I get you. I'm worried. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm not worried because the way this team has handled injuries in the past and still currently do,
especially foot injuries.
but it wasn't. It wasn't the Jones. He
Right.
didn't even get surgery. He was in a
Right.
boot. It was
Right.
like, stepping off of a curb wrong or something,
Right.
like.
Right. Yeah.
If we want to talk about it, talk about it. The only reason his foot got hurt is because Mr. Stat Patter had to come halfway across the corner, halfway across the damn field, break his damn foot trying to make a tackle to put those combined tackles on the stat sheet. That's exactly what happened. If we want to talk about it.
Running all
But
crazy, barreling into people, doing backflips, running into people. What the hell is this? I said, man, dog, calm down, man.
you're 250 pounds.
He was going 100 miles an hour doing flips into him. I said, man, calm down, dog. That killed me when I seen that, bro. I was like, wow.
He crashed into that damn tackle like the Kool-Aid
I
man.
said, wow, that's wild as hell. You know what I'm saying? Mel getting on you though, Mike. Mel said that you said Cheeto was a top 15 corner.
He is.
Is he still?
He is. I'll fight you over that. Yes, he is.
Why?
He had a better statistical year last year than Jalen Ramsey. He had a 58% completion percentage, and he gave up. He got busted on a couple of big plays versus Hustle Wilson, which Hustle Wilson, if you go back and watch those on the All-22, I don't know what the hell else you want Cheeto to do. Those were absolute piss missiles, 35 yards downfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he had a bad game versus Buffalo. He had a bad game versus Chicago, which the entire defense and the entire defense had a bad game versus Buffalo and Chicago, if we want to be real about it. And the fact of the matter is, he doesn't get burned on. He got burned on a couple bad plays. He doesn't get a lot of penalties. He doesn't get out of position a lot where he's there.
Well, he ain't gonna get no interceptions.
Give him a safety. Give him a safety.
Come on, Mike. He ain't getting no interceptions.
Give Byron Jones a safety. Byron Jones picked off Pat Mahomes.
He got one. He got one.
And he's forced 2 fumbles this year.
Byron Jones is a beast, but No,
he's allergic. I'm not trying to pretend like Byron Jones is allergic to football.
That's what Cheeto is too, though. Cheeto is a sticky guy like Byron is. He ain't getting picks. He ain't doing it. I don't care. Nobody tell me.
He's not. And you know what? The guys that get picks get burned. You want Marcus Peters? Yeah. Marcus Peters gets picks.
I feel you. But here's my
Marcus Peters gets picked all the time.
I totally get that because he gambles a lot. That's a problem. But here's my thing with Cheeto. He annoyed me sometimes because when I be wanting to feel good about him, like this year, I want to feel good about him. Then he do annoying shit. Like when he finally get off the list, then they attacking him, and you still just there. Like you're there right there, but you're still just there. I need to go look at my stats on him and just really watch him more. I know he's not going to get a lot on the market, so that's why I could see him coming back. Because I don't think he's going to get a lot on the market because you didn't even play this year.
You realize that being a top 15 safety doesn't mean you're good at necessarily what people would consider good at football. That's how bad the state of coverage is. It's like being a top 15 offensive tackle. That's how bad the state of play is right now with secondary play, with safety play, and with offensive tackle play. Cheeto being a top 15 corner is the top. See who you got right now in the NFC. Top 5, top 6 corner in the NFC right now. If he was healthy, who you got? Think about the names, man. It's not like he's not Deion Sanders. I'm not like coverage is so hard with the way these guys are limited with the ticky-tack penalties and the offensive schemes and the wide receiver talent. Like we were just talking about wide receivers coming out in this draft, the wide receiver talent that gets turned out, these guys can't keep up. And then every corner.
Let me ask you this though. So you're telling me they shouldn't go out and get a top corner and to take that spot? You think Cheeto
you should absolutely get a top corner. You should absolutely, but he's not guaranteed. Okay, who was the top corner in this last draft? Jeff Okudah? What's he done this year? Jeff Okudah's been getting roasted. Oh, calm down, Google. Jeff Okudah's been getting roasted. Trevon Diggs been getting roasted. That's life as a rookie corner. Hell, Jalen Ramsey had a tough rookie year. And he was
a lot of rookie corners that came out this past year had a little rough go at it.
It's a really, 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 really hard transition. It's arguably harder to transition than quarterback depending on what team you go to.
Because you're gonna be on the island if they put you out there, and it's gonna be bad for you if you ain't
And
got if your
and
mentality.
Trayvon Diggs was put on an island. He was put on an island. He followed that dude ran through the gambit. What he ran through Pittsburgh. He went through DeAndre Hopkins. He went through Minnesota. Like that dude ran Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Travis Fulgham when he was still hitting. Did they
the Browns?
Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin.
Like that the dude
Landry, Odell Beckham was still playing.
Mel Cheeto is, I would argue that he's top 6 in the NFC. Yes, I would. Not that that's saying much. That's not the NFC's trash. The NFC defenses are absolute trash. Make no mistake about it. But that is not a guy that you chase off by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I think he got it. He was on the receiving end of a couple beautiful passes last year. I can retweet them. I'll retweet him when we get done here. Russell Wilson absolutely laced him up.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to see about that. We got the Niners getting ready to come up, big dog. What's kind of outlet on this Niners game? They don't have a quarterback.
Bradbury is a guy we should have got, Dre. I got to see. We that's what happens when your GM wants to bargain bin shop and go to bulk trash pickup day. James Bradbury absolutely should have been the guy you went after when you knew you were moving on from Byron Jones 2 years ago. But the San Francisco matchup, it's going to be, it's going to be the same thing that happens every time we go against a team that targets the linebackers. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about them turning Nick Mullins into a superhero. They're going to get upfield. They're going to dump it off to Jeff Wilson right in front of 54's face, and he's going to shake and bake and dust him for another 20 yards, and then maybe somebody can tackle him before he gets to the end zone. I'm sorry, was that too negative?
Like, wow, man, come on, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, they got George Kittle back just in time to put these linebackers in a blender.
So, do you think this is a game? I think one of my people's KMT, shout out to him, he said over under 200 yards rushing.
Oh, over.
Over 200 yards rushing on us.
Over. Is Debo play? We find out is Debo playing?
I think Debo may be out. I think
Debo would get 100 yards.
Oh, he would kill him. But I think
Brandon Ayuk. Every time I see that dude's last name, I do the goofy laugh in my head.
Yeah. So, but he's pretty good, man, and I think he's pretty good. So,
yeah.
But Nick Mullins. So they got a pretty good defense statistically. They are missing a lot of guys. Kerry Hyder Jr., who was with us, has got like eight sacks this year, I believe, around that. What do you think? Do you think we move the ball on them? Do you think we score on them, get like maybe 21 points in this game, something like that?
No, Andy Dalton's no, sir. Andy Dalton's a 17-point quarterback.
I think Tony Pollard has a good game this game for some reason. I don't know why.
The safeties
maybe it's wishful thinking. But I think we can work their corners. I think Amari and CD can get loose.
Yeah, they absolutely can. Who's going to get on the ball?
Yeah, Brandon Knight has struggled since he's come back from injury.
No, Andy Dalton has 8 seconds in the pocket. He's back there doing pirouettes and duck and ghost. And then every time a quarterback takes more than 5 seconds in the pocket just to check it down, a little part of me dies.
Mm-hmm.
It's Andy Dalton is not a good quarterback.
I know.
Period. Right? He's not a good quarterback.
He's just not a good quarterback no more. He was decent, but it just looked like the thrill is gone. Like he's gone.
He's not a good quarterback, and I know people were all excited that was Dak leverage and this, that, and the other, and I'm not even going into that. But he's not good. You can turn on, that's a reason people are mad at Kellen Moore. You can turn on the 22. You don't even have to turn on 22. Like I said, you can go back and watch the game replay.
Mm-hmm.
And watch these points being left on the field. Watch these wide open receivers. Watch these wide open tight ends. Watch Andy Dalton take a bad sack. Watch him skip a hitch.
Yep.
Just
Yeah, he's spooky now, man. Hey, shout out my guy, Goon Squad Mel. He's my goon. Anybody try to ever talk trash to me, Mike, he go ham on him. So that's my goon. He's one of my goons. But he says props to you, Mike, for making your case and not getting emotional. That's what I love about Mike as well. He can, he don't.
thank you, sir. Yeah, it's not emotional for me, man. When I make a point, it's not just to have a take. It's really not. It's something I put a little thought into because nobody wants to be out here acting foolish.
Right, for sure. Well, what's the so these last 3 games, what do you think we'll finish at before we get off of here? What do you think we kind of finish at the end of the year? And what's your feeling about the staff? Let's say we just don't win a game the rest of the year, okay? What is your feeling going to be going into after the season? What is the one main thing Mike White wants to see after this season's over? Whatever it is, what's the one thing you want to see?
Cut Jalen Smith, trade for a safety, sign a defensive tackle.
Okay. Y'all hear that? Say that one more time, big dog.
Cut Jalen Smith, trade for his safety, sign a defensive tackle. Move Michael Gallup for Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp's getting situational snaps in LA. They slowly moved him to a special teams player. He would be your starting free safety here. Period. The Xavier Woods exposition is over. That's over. Period.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
We signing and you want to get a defensive tackle on free agency?
Yes.
Dog.
Yes.
Spend money.
Yes. I would trade. Dude, I would trade a 2 for Vita Vea. That's how high I am up on interior pressure and how bad this ideology is fixed. That's how bad it means something to me. And I know that's Rich. I absolutely know that's Rich. He's only played one full season. He's only played one full season. I love the player. And what he could do if you're so intent on keeping 54 and 55 around, you have to get somebody up there that's going to keep them dudes clean.
Yeah, like you got to get an animal in the middle. Like
yes.
You said, Vita Vea, he's an animal in the middle. Like that's a guy who's a game record. Like he can change games by the way he plays. We don't have that, and you can and you see how you said it. It would make D-Law. It would make those guys' game so much easier. That's why those guys have a hard time getting loose because there's nobody they fear offensively when they come into a game plan. There's nobody in the front, in the trenches, in that middle. Mm-hmm. They're saying, let's game plan for this guy in the middle.
Exactly.
Not one person. Not one team is doing that.
No. And people, Jake Lawrence doesn't get sacks. He doesn't get sacks. You know why he doesn't get sacks? He's taking on 2 and 3 blockers every single snap. Mm-hmm. And then they don't want to play Randy Gregory, but a situational player for some reason.
That's weird as shit that they keep doing that. I don't even know because it ain't like Alden Smith gonna be back here.
I would trade Michael Gallup for Taylor Rapp straight up. I would do it. They're not going to pay him.
Yeah,
they're absolutely not going to pay him. And Taylor Rapp's not going to cost you a lot, even if he thinks about trying to get a new contract next year. You need a legitimate free safety on this team, unless you want to, there's another wildcat option I got. Richard Sherman's done in San Francisco.
I don't want no old ass.
I understand that. You want him to come play free safety?
I think he would be a good free safety, but I just feel like, could he be like the Woodson? How old is he now? Like 34?
He should be. I think he'll be 33 at the first of next season.
I think he'd be a nasty ass free safety like the Woodson thing because he's just smart.
The instincts, smart. Man. You take Sean Lee, make him DC. Give him, put Richard Sherman back there as free safety.
Yeah, you live in a fantasy world now, buddy.
I'm trying to fix the team. I'm trying to fix the team,
I
Bo. You
feel you.
ask you you
I'm trying to feel you, fix you with you. But you know what? That's why sometimes it gets frustrating. We have all these great talks, and we know a damn thing ain't happening.
I mean you I know, but you asked me.
I
Yeah.
know. That's what I'm saying. It hurts when we talk about it because it sounds so good, and it like, yeah, this pipe dream though. We could get so damn creative with this team and make so many damn things can happen with this team. You really could wheel and deal. You really can make it happen. But to me, guys is scary. That's what I feel, Mike. Guys are scary because just like if you're talking about easily transition to a George Edwards, not saying, in my opinion, I'm not saying George. I think that's you're scary because you saying it's comfortable. It's the easiest way to go. You don't have to worry about anything. And Stephen Jones, he don't jump out there and sign those big guys because why? Because if he feels like I guess wrong, I'm gonna hear it. But if I get these other guys, you can't really yell at me about him
They
because
they
I
they
saved money for us.
they still feel burned by the Brandon Carr deal. When Brandon
Not let
Carr
me
was an awesome, he was. We should have been nicer to Brandon Carr.
he played good. I was mad at him, but when he took the pay cut, I wasn't so mad at him. But he
No,
wasn't bad when his time in Dallas. He was not bad
no,
his time in Dallas. We
no.
just saw that 10 million, you gotta get some picks. That's what people was
Same reason they chased off Byron Jones. Look what
right.
good that did us.
Right. So I mean, that's what it is, dog. They still scary from that contract, and that's why Steven put his foot down and said, I don't want to do that no more. But dog, you got to get out of the mentality because we're not going to get over the hump as long as you keep doing that little goofy shit. We're not going to
Mm-mm.
get over the hump no matter what they think and believe. We're not going to get over that hump unless you do it.
What's funny is, you know, I talked about this the other day. They even in the non-salary cap era, in the when they were quote unquote drafting them well, and they had all these all Hall of Famers, and they had Troy Aikman, they had drafted Michael Irvin, they drafted all these guys. You know what they still had to do? They still had to go get Ken Norton. They
Mm.
still had to go get Charles Haley. They still had to go get Deion Sanders. They still had to go get these guys to put the team over, to put an already fantastic team over the hump.
Well, like I said, man, it's a dirty circle that we're not going to talk about because we already know what that is. But hey, man, I appreciate you jumping on here for our burgers and blitzes, like you know how we do, man. Always a good time with you. Let them know, like we always talk about. But I keep on trying to tell y'all, I don't just be saying this with you. Like some people just be, oh, follow him here. No, I'm right, trying to tell you, dog. You need to follow him on Twitter because I intently follow him on Twitter every day because he be telling me stuff that I don't be seeing every day. There's something that you show, and I'm like, damn, I didn't see that. So let me go look. So I'm telling you, y'all want a really good follow on Twitter, some really good information that you do not see a lot of other places. Go follow him. Tell him where you at, Mike.
My handle is at not to be trite, like Jerry Jones said that at not to be trite. So that is my handle. You can find me there. Be getting my podcast off the ground over this Christmas break. And other than that, that's where I'm at, guys. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Appreciate the time, James.
Hey, you know how we do, man. I always love when you jump in and we do this Thursday thing. Always good information, always good talk, and always real talk. And I love that more than anything else, man. So, hey, man, you have a good evening. I'm gonna stay on here maybe a couple minutes. You have a good evening. Be safe out there, and love you and take care, man.
Back to the future, guys. Y'all
You
have a
know it.
good night.
All right, man. Peace. All right, y'all. You know what I'm saying? My guy Mike White does it like he always does. Always a good show with him. Always comes with real information. Always good talking. I really appreciate what he brings to the table when we have our discussions, because he's got some insider information as well, and I always like that. How he brings the realness of what he feels and what he sees. So we always have good talks, and like I said, we have good talks back and forth with people in the feed. Everybody, all my people's in the chat, and like Mel says, he doesn't get emotional about it. We have good back and forth, and then and that's it. So that's where it should really be. Should never really get emotional where you mad at the person because we ain't really got nothing to do with none of this shit. If you really think about it, don't none of us own these Cowboys or none of that shit. We just deep devoted fans, so we shouldn't be getting heated over each other about it. But I'm about to head off here. Good show tonight. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. I got my guy Connor Live say on here tomorrow from Blogging the Boys. He just wrote up an article about 3 defensive tackles that we should look at in free agency because he doesn't think this defensive tackle draft class is great. I agree. It doesn't have that fanfare, in my opinion, at all from last year. This draft as a whole, I don't think is as great as good as last year's draft. But I think there's depth, but I just don't think there's those one guys, at least on the defensive side, defensive tackle or safety, the safety position that you're going to go out there and say, this guy is going to come in and make a difference right now. I don't see anybody in this draft. I've been looking over the players, and this ain't even bouncing off nobody else. This is just real talk. Like, I just haven't seen anybody out there, or just anybody jumps out there and say, "Oh, this dude's going to come in and he's going to be the record that you need at the defensive tackle position or the safety position." So once again, has to be a situation, Stephen Jones, where you're really going to have to do it. Like that's a straight up trade with a Michael Gallup if it happens, where you can get a really good safety, or spend some money on a safety, or spend some money on the defensive tackle this year. Like, that's the only way we're going to get over this hump and stay out the way. You know what I mean? That's going to be a biggest thing. But you got to stop being that cheap thing, and it's not something that you got to do it. If Dallas is trying to get over the hump, you got to get a few of these free agents. You don't got to sign 5 of them every single year, but you got to get a couple core guys that can really take you over the hump and put direction into your defense, because you need that especially on the defensive side. The offense is straight. Like, I don't know what people be complaining about this offense. People saying Kellen Moore this, Kellen Moore that. We was averaging 33 points a game with Dak Prescott, man. You can't. What you supposed to do when you got freaking Ben DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert, who didn't play bad, and freaking Andy Dalton is just real talk. He's just not good this year. He is not the Andy Dalton that we saw in years past with the Cincinnati Bengals, where he's playing good football. He is not that guy any longer. He just looks like he's totally different, and he's just missing a lot of stuff. So to still dial up at least getting about 17 points a game with this team is good. And like I said, I ain't saying Kellen Moore is perfect, but I'm sorry. I'm not getting rid of a guy who had a number one offense all last year and still have a top 10 offense, even with your quarterback gone. And you was averaging over 30 something points a game when you had your quarterback. There wasn't teams that were stopping our offense. We couldn't stop nobody on defense, but there was no teams that we were playing with Dak Prescott that were stopping us offensively. They weren't stopping us. We were stopping ourselves doing dumb things, or that defense wasn't, getting the offense in good position. You have to take a drive, 10, 12 play drive every single time and have to play perfect football. That's not going to happen. Mistakes will happen. Your defense has got to help carry you as well, because when that defense is playing good, the offense is even more magical. Just imagine if we had just a little bit of a good defense on this team this year, man. Imagine how magical that offense would have been. So that's what they really got to get together, and they're going to have to invest it in free agency, and they're going to have to go hard on it and not be cheap with it. And if we see them being cheap again with it, or getting guys that are over the hill and thinking that they're going to make the difference, then it's just going to be the same thing and next year. So we'll see how that happens. But I appreciate everybody in the feed. Uncle Charles, Harold Jones, Wink, Aaron Lewis, my members, Steve Lumpton, RC DC4L. No, he does not have a channel, but he is going to be doing a podcast with the Dallas Cowboys in some kind of form. I'll give you that information. Always a lady, the Ninja, Danny Woods, Dwayne Wright, Boothang, who else? Ahmad Shakur, like I said, Mel Hayes. Who else was in here? Tawan Tyler, Tariq Salim, Dre the Great, James Gary, Laurel Blizzard. Who else we got in here? This is on my YouTube people. Tyson Gote. KG, what's up with you, dog? Andy the Prophet, Sean Parker. Terry Turner, what's up with you? Philip Smith. Marco Terezano, I believe. Joseph Guzman, Andy Jones, Richie Cochran Jr., James Nooks, Tim Warner, as I said, Isaac Nito, James Tyson. Appreciate everybody that was in the building today, man. Really appreciate you guys jumping in on the feed. Really appreciate all the donations and all the love you guys showed once again on the great show from Mike. Hey ho, Stelios 300 with the $5 holla. Big Game James ain't scared of no mother sucker. You know it, baby. You know how we do. Stelios be make it rain. Make it rain. You be making it rain. Stelios 300 for real. Like, you 300 for real. Like 300. But man, another great show. It's going to be a really good show tomorrow with Connor Livesay, because he has a lot of good draft knowledge. We'll talk a lot about that tomorrow on the draft tip. As I said before, a lot of people get on it early. This is the time I really start really messing with it in the beginning of January because you look at the All-Star games. A lot of things are different this year because of COVID, but just so many things change with these players. I guess you could jump out there and say, "Well, I was talking about them in October and nobody was." So I guess you can always make that claim to fame for sure, definitely. But my opinion, too many things are going to change between now and April on that draft. A lot of games, Senior Bowl, a lot of things going to change. Combine, so but tape don't lie. So that's always something that you're going to look at. But things are definitely going to be changing from this point until April. So we'll definitely see. I believe my dog. I'm gonna see if I get my dog Boss Cowboys on here Saturday with me. We was doing our final thoughts, but he got his own podcast and show up and running finally. Go check it out. I think he's got it on Facebook, Boss Cowboy Sports. Go check out his thing he's got going on over there, my dog. So I think he's been building it up the last few weeks. So make sure you go out there and support my guy right there. He does his thing like no other. And if he can, we'll get him on here with myself as well so we can do our thing. And then you know how we do Sunday game time, San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, watch party, Big Game James, Law Nation, Skywalker Steel. You know how we do. And let's just keep it moving and see how it goes. Appreciate all my members. We almost at 5K. I think we only got about maybe 15 subs. If we get it right there, I like to get that before this game this weekend. Let's hit 5K before Sunday. I think we got maybe 17 subs to get, or maybe 20 to 17 subs to get before we hit that 5K. So let's hit that 5K on the YouTube. Definitely happy about that accomplishment. Hasn't we ain't getting 1K a month, but that's cool with me because my thing with the subscribers and the members, I want trueness and realness. So some people, and I'm not busting on anybody, understand what I'm saying. Sometimes some people just sub because it's the cool thing to do. They saw something cool and they sub, but they really don't mess with you like that. I like having them real subscribers, you know what I'm saying? The real members and people that have been in the trenches with you, people been in the war with you, people just really mess with you and listen to you. So it may not be popping like, 10K tomorrow, 15K the next day, but it's definitely real and authentic. And I appreciate that more than anything else. Because I always say, you having one subscriber is big. Even now, if you really look at it, people try to claim, man, you only got 5 subscribers. But think about it. That's 5 people that's taking out their time to listen to you. That's big. That means you're impacting something with them and within their life or something. So I take nothing for granted. So everything that is come this way, I'm forever grateful and forever respectful of all my subs, all my members, all the people that F with Big Game James and Silver and Blue Nation. You know how we do, Goon Squad, baby. So I'll talk to you guys soon. We'll get it in tomorrow, 9 o'clock p.m. EST. Myself and Connor Live say from blogging the boys, talking draft and free agency on the front line. Don't miss it. Turn them notifications on. If they ain't coming on, turn them off, turn them on, get them things popping so you know when I am live. Salutes. Big Game James, Silver and Blue Nation. I'm out.